War. War never changes. Ferrari waged war on the circuit to reap rewards on the road. Porsche built an empire from its constant refinement of a single idea. And McLaren, it's shaping a few cars into a road-going superpower. This is McLaren's latest weapon in the never-ending war for supercar supremacy, the 720S. It's quicker than a 650S and will post lap times that will almost worry a track special 675 LT. And it's got holes in its face. Now, as we're talking about a new McLaren, we should probably talk about its power. Behind me is a 4-litre turbocharged V8 with, you guessed it, 720 horsepower, 710 brake horsepower, and it also kicks out 568 pound-foot. That's lots, so many lots in fact, that it'll get from 0 to 62 in just 2.9 seconds and on to 212 miles an hour. However, to win the supercar war, it's not all about being the quickest. There has to be some breadth of ability in here. As such, McLaren wants this to be comfier than the 650S, but also faster when it needs to be. So what they say is it's not quite as smooth as a 570 GT, but it's way quicker than the 650S ever was. As well as all the power stuff, there's some seriously smart engineering going on here. Airflow, for example, is managed differently and less obviously than before. See its big gaping eye holes? Those feed air into the radiators, and there are vents that run along the doors that do the same thing for the engine. So while it isn't covered in holes, its cooling efficiency is up 15% on its predecessor. But what good is cooling and all that stuff in the heat of battle? It needs to handle, and that McLaren says it does. See its rear wing? That's all active and can be used as an air brake to stop faster. It's twice as aerodynamically efficient as the 650S, which is nice. There are the usual McLaren driving modes to play with. There is something super cool buried in there though. It's called variable drift control. And what that does is set how far the car can slide when you're really going at it on the circuit. So you start off with a little bit of slip and then you get really good at that, and then you give it a little bit more and a little bit more until the car's at a really crazy angle, but you can control it because you've figured out how it works, probably with an instructor, and then by the time you've done that, you can figure out in a far better place how to do it with absolutely everything off. That is clever and actually weirdly responsible. Now, in any war, you want to be able to see more than the other guy, and in the 720S you stand a better chance than most. It comes with the imposing sounding monocage 2, its new carbon fibre architecture. It now covers the upper structure of the car and screen surround, which means there's glass everywhere and you can see all of the things. Then there's the new interior, which is certainly more exciting than the 650S, and how's about that instrument cluster? It tucks itself away if you just want the basic info, so you can concentrate on the road. It's all well and good having loads and loads of toys, that's absolutely fine, but you need to combine them all into a decent package. So has McLaren managed to do it? Well, so let's put some things into sport, press the manual button, which is down there, knock it down, the gearbox is super quick, and then you just get over the brow of this little hill in second. We're doing 10 below the speed limit, and we're not doing 10 below anymore. Oh, God. The acceleration is, I think it would be fair to say, quite fierce. Very fierce, and it doesn't let up. That extra torque over the 650S, an already incredible car, just makes this thing fly. You twin that with its steering feel, you can place exactly where the front wheels are, you know where they're going and you know what they're doing. On the road, that is immensely handy. On the track, even more so, because remember, this is McLaren. It wants to build the car that can do everything. The gearbox is fantastic. It's something else. It's so slick. It's just that one step above. But this car's party piece is the handling. This thing grips. All these little changes made over the 650S, it all adds up, and it adds up to one hell of a package, because you can barrel into corners way faster than you really should be able to. It's such an intuitive thing. The car knows what you want to do. or what you're doing, and then figures out either side of it. Well, maybe they want to go a little bit faster, fine, we'll prime for that. Maybe they want to turn in a bit more, fine, we'll prime for that. The way McLaren has made this thing ride and feel is just, it's otherworldly. Like, I know Ferrari has various modes on its switches, but they always feel a little bit intimidating, whereas I don't mind driving around in sport in this. I don't feel like it's going to eat me. That's fantastic. Also up there in the list of really good things this car has, amazing brakes. There's not much travel to the pedal at all, so you can catch yourself out, and it is on a little bit of a hair trigger, so if you're not with it 100%, well, you end up sort of lifting off a little bit even though you thought your foot was on the pedal, and you start creeping forward. That's a little bit off-putting. However, on a circuit or when you're really on it on the road, these will help you cover ground faster because you can brake later and you can brake harder than the other guy. They are phenomenal. One other thing that really stands out about the 720S is the canopy. Yeah, it's all jet fighter-ish, and you get that little boy fantasy of wanting to be a fighter pilot. But the way the new monocell works, you can do a proper blind spot check and see if there's something in your blind spot. There's no hidden area that mid-engine cars get so often. There's so much light in here, it feels super airy, and that's just wicked. There are a couple of teeny tiny downsides, though. These bucket seats aren't spectacular. I've been driving this thing all day, and my lower back is made apparently entirely of fire. Not ideal, that, but there are other seats available. There's also the fact that the driver's door doesn't really enjoy closing properly 100% of the time, so you've got to give it a fair old heft. Sometimes it'll soft close for you, which is a neat touch. Sometimes it simply won't. Quite annoying. But everything else, this is designed for someone who wants to drive everywhere, anywhere, either at super high speed or in town just to get the shot. It's beautiful to look at, and it is beautiful to drive, and it just feels good everywhere. The problem McLaren's had in the past is its image. As a comparative new boy to the road car game, F1 excluded, its cars have always apparently lacked soul and feeling, and other words people who are way too into cars say lots. Myself included on occasion. Let's be real though, the 720S is certainly good enough to bring the game to the big boys, but does it invoke enough adjectives to make the officers of Ferrari and Porsche worry? The supercar wars will never end. There'll always be something a little bit faster, a little bit more this, a little bit more that, but McLaren has struck a key blow here because this thing is unbelievably fast. It's usable everywhere. You can see out of it. There's space. It looks amazing. But here's the thing, McLaren has got a hell of a lot of soul here. So Ferrari and Porsche, good luck with whatever comes next.